Hello and welcome to Book of the Mouse Club, episode 99, Friday, February 16th, 2024.
Morning, monsieur.
Where are you off to?
The bookshop. I just finished the most wonderful story about a beanstalk and an ogre and
That's nice. Marie! The baguettes! Hurry up!
I'm sorry, but how can one possibly pay attention to a book with no pictures in it?
My dear child, there are a great many good books in this world without pictures.
I almost bounced clear out of the book. Some bouncing, huh?
Come home or make myself known.
J. Thaddeus Turtle, Esquire. Have you never met him? You will find his story in this delightful little book, The Wind and the Willows.
I've come to return the book I borrowed.
Finished already?
Oh, I couldn't put it down. Have you got anything new?
Welcome back. I'm your host, Courtney, and I'm joined as always by the Basil of Baker Street to my Eddie Valiant, my lovely co-host, Emily.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. Thanks for giving me my favorite. Those are two famous Disney private eyes, but today we're going to learn about a new unofficial one, Miles Mitchell.
Yes, today we are pleased to welcome to the show Aaron Forringer. Aaron has channeled his BA in criminology into a diverse career, leading him all the way to Walt Disney World. Aaron's initial service in the Army included time in military intelligence, then as a special agent in the Criminal Investigation Division, and services stationed in Korea, New York, and Hawaii. Like the titular character of the Miles Mitchell mysteries, A Private Eye at a Magical Place, Aaron went into the private security business for a bit, including time as a private investigator. He is now living out his retirement as a security host at Walt Disney World. During his past 5 years with the company, he has worked in every park and every resort on the 47 square miles of property. Notable moments during his Disney journey include serving on the opening security team for Galaxy's Edge, The Rise of the Resistance, and the Galactic Star Cruiser, as well as training new security hosts and many new cast members across the company in the Disney Traditions course. In addition to authoring the Miles Mitchell mysteries, Aaron occasionally freelances travel and history articles for magazines such as the National VFW magazine and Road Tripper magazine. His other fictional work includes short stories in a science fiction series, The Outfitters Universe. We are so excited to dive into the Disney World side of things, both literally and figuratively today. Welcome, Aaron.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. That was quite an introduction. My life sounds much more impressive than it actually is.
I think it sounds great.
Oh, we're so excited to have you, and thank you so much for sending us a copy of your book. Courtney and I, we were just sharing off air before we got started how much fun we had. Courtney, you sat and read it in a day. I took it to the gym and did like two chapters, two mini mysteries at a time. We just had a lot of fun reading it. So to get us to kick off, I kind of wanted to ask you why you think Walt Disney World is the perfect setting for a mystery.
Well, there's so much to know there, and there's so much trivia, so much history, so much intricacy of the parks. And I personally love working there because I get to learn so much and how complicated the place is and how it works so well together. The different factors and facets of it that just all come together to make the magic.
Yeah, people think, of the 4 parks, of course, but you've got 2 water parks, Disney Springs, 30 plus resorts. So I think you'd be hard pressed to run out of scenarios and situations for Miles to adventure on.
I hope so. I hope so.
As we shared in your intro, like our main character, Miles, you were in law enforcement. So how did your personal experiences influence how you wrote these Miles Mitchell mysteries?
I have done law enforcement. I was a parole agent. That's my main retirement job. I was a parole agent most of the time in West Philadelphia. So I've dealt with a lot of people in the criminal justice world, and they're more complex than most people give them credit for. I mean, most people would say bad guy, good guy, criminal, non-criminal, but as a parole agent, I got to know a lot of parole agents. I had some parole agents I dealt with for years, and it's more fascinating and more interesting than most people give them credit for, So, but in the private world, I was a private investigator for a very long time, but for a long enough time to do a lot of surveillance and sit in my car and watch people for hours and hours upon end. At that time, sitting around doing nothing leaves you a lot of time to think. And I created stories.
That's really awesome. And you said you do have such an interesting background. Give yourself some credit with saying you sound like we made your life sound more exciting. Yeah, that is exciting. Lots of different roles, getting to meet lots of
Mhm.
people. But what led you to then Walt Disney World? You have this life in law enforcement. Now you're in Walt Disney World.
Well, I retired from law enforcement. I did my time as a parole agent in Pennsylvania. And then I always wanted to work for Walt Disney. I had been a fan. The first time I came was around 1977 when it was only Magic Kingdom. We actually had the paper tickets, including the e-tickets. I didn't come back again until I was married sometime in the 90s, 96, 97 timeframe. And by then it had grown tremendously. Um, and I've always been fascinated, but I was always a huge fan of The Wonderful World of Walt Disney on Sunday night. Uh, and I just love the show. And I read extensively about Walt Disney World and the movies, of course. And just it, I have always enjoyed knowing what goes on backstage. I read Starlog as a child. That's the magazine of science fiction, and it tells you a lot of how the makeup is done and models and everything else. And Disney just encapsulates all of that in telling their story and immersing people in the parks.
That's pretty awesome. And you kind of make to Walt Disney World for all the same reasons we all did. We fell in love with it in some capacity, sometime either with the parks or with movies. And it is testament. I get nervous when people say, like, is it going to ruin the magic when you know what happens behind screen? I'm like, no, in fact, it makes it so much better. So how does that then combine into your stories? Was it sitting in a car surveillance? You're like, oh, Walt Disney World and Miles.
Oh, well, I wasn't doing any surveillance on Disney, but there is a lot of time you're not fully engaged in security. But I just asked myself the question, what if? And I was always a big fan of mysteries and private eyes. And so I go, what would be a case that a private investigator would work here? And then I was great, had the limitations of I cannot go into anything Disney security does. Disney security does a fantastic job. I would say they're one of the best security forces in the private sector uh, in the world. And I do not want to infringe or reveal anything about that. So I have to work cases. Miles Mitchell has to work
You're
case.
doing it too in the creation. You
Yeah.
are one and the same in a way.
Yeah. Well, Miles is taller than me and younger. But I said, what would be cases that Miles Mitchell would be involved with on Disney? You know, he has a deep background in Disney. He grew up here. In fact, he was born in the parks, and he has a lifetime pass, so he knows the parks so well. And what kind of cases would he work if there were cases that wouldn't infringe upon Disney's operations? So I had some limitations, which actually I think makes it for a better story when you have limitations and you have to be more creative that way.
Yeah, I feel that came through in the types of cases that he takes on from people in the area or even those who travel to come find him for that. In approaching this character, would you say there are any common misconceptions about private detectives that you wanted to address, or just any in general that you'd like to get out there to our listeners?
Well, early on in the creation of them, I was trying to hit all the tropes.
Okay.
Always broke, a hard drinker, had a girlfriend in the diner. I tried to. That was actually the intention with the first story, and I think the readers will understand that once they read it. But I tried to hit all the tropes, but then Miles started to grow and change, and misconceptions. People think it's there's a lot of sitting around in doing investigations, a lot of sitting around, and one thing I was taught as a CID agent was investigators are beggars. We are always asking somebody else for information, for help, to help us complete the picture of whatever we're investigating. So Miles is partially a beggar. He's trying to convince people to tell him things that he needs to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun characters throughout that he encounters.
Something I caught right away starting your book in your acknowledgments, you credit, quote, the crew at the Contemporary who gave me so much love, feedback. So we want to know, did you do a lot of writing there, writing on property?
Oh, no, never on property.
So what's the special place for the Contemporary?
I would write a story, and the guys at the Contemporary, the screening area, especially the evening crew, I would just give them a copy and say, what do you think? And they go, loved it. And they did the most wonderful thing that an author can hear. When's the next story coming out? That encouraged me and charged me up so much. But those guys were great. And a lot of them still ask me, how's the writing going? So, but it was a fun time.
That's awesome. You can share that with your fellow cast members. Cast members are just awesome. I miss being a cast member.
I
We miss you,
I
Emily.
love my cast members. So
No, I love that for you. And I have to ask, I might have a guess based on your Zoom background that our listeners cannot see, but do you have a favorite resort you can name? I know it's almost like picking a favorite child. But
no, I will hands down the Wilderness Lodge.
that is
I
his Zoom
love the
background
Wilderness
for-
Lodge. Well, actually, it's the Boulder Creek lobby, which there's a scene in the Road to a Wedding case in the book that takes place. The finale kind of takes place in the lobby of the Boulder Creek. So
Yeah, it's great that you're able to, put in some of your favorite locations that you've spent so much time there.
Which, speaking of location, your stories are set in present day. Miles is of our modern day, but your writing style has a lot of the classic noir style detective mystery feel to it. Like, I could see this story playing out in black and white if it was on film. So what are some of your inspirations for how you mold that classic detective with putting them in a modern day setting?
Well, Sam Spade and the Maltese Falcon, big inspiration. Also a book, let's see what's the name, make sure I get the name right. There's a book called 5-Minute Mysteries by Michael Avalon. It's cases from End Noon Private Eye. It's basically cases that you can read in 5 minutes, and he gives a little clue at the front and to tell how to solve the thing. It's set in New York City, and I have read this collection of short stories probably 20 times, and it just greatly influences my storytelling.
I can tell when you said the 5 minutes, I feel like the pacing was quick. As I shared, I read it in one day in two sittings or so. But I was like, all right, like spending 5 to 7 minutes here with this one. I think I got like halfway through, did a few errands around the house, came back to it. So I can absolutely garner that from your inspiration there. When you were talking about the different tropes of broke, heavy drinker, girlfriend in a diner, I was very much getting Eddie Valiant vibes from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So Emily's a big fan. Are you as well?
If it wasn't for Eddie Valiant, Miles Mitchell would not exist.
100%.
Thank goodness. All right, we're safe. Yeah.
Yes, I love Eddie Valiant. Fantastic story.
Love that movie. We just had to check. I was like, we were getting the vibes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the cover art, because this is so much fun. It brings readers into the genre. We have the diner. It gets you that noir vibe. I right away recognized the Mickey and Minnie Disney Bound for Dapper Day that's on the front, which is featured in one of the stories.
It's the dress-up case. The dress-up case.
So we right away have Miles and Millie on the cover. So tell us about that cover art.
That was done by my artist Graham Kennedy. He has done all my book covers except the second volume of Miles Mitchell. My daughter wanted to take a swing at it. But I really wanted the first cover. We just couldn't come to. I wanted the clouds to look like the castle.
Oh.
But we just couldn't get it just looking right. But I think everything else comes off really well. So, there we go. There's the book. She has it in her hand. Oh, we have it in both our hands. So,
as well.
Yeah. And that's Miles's broken down station wagon with the non-working air conditioning in Florida. So, but like I said, the hard drinking is only in the first story. It kind of Miles evolved a little bit.
Mhm.
There is a second volume, and Miles does do some different things than than in the first one, and I really enjoyed the second one. But I have 2.5 stories on the third volume. So
Oh,
Awesome. No,
wow.
yeah,
you're just plugging right away at it.
yeah.
I have to
I
ask, as a local to the Walt Disney World area as well, is Millie's Diner based on a particular diner that I can go
No,
visit?
not
No.
really. I wish it was. But I think most people will recognize it.
Yeah.
The silver outside and the 50s
A
decor
classic.
inside.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you brought
but
up your time in West Philadelphia. I'm a South Jersey native. Philadelphia is my home
Mhm.
city. So the diner is very much a place that's special
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
there's many in West Philadelphia.
This looks
Yes.
exactly on the
So,
cover like a diner. I spent a lot of time in. There was
hmm
one down the
hmm
street from my high school. That was where we hung out.
Yep.
That's where you go. So I want to know Miles' go-to is pie. Pie is his. Is
Mine
that
too.
yours?
Okay.
Okay.
We had to
I
check.
had to know what your order.
I'm a pie man. Yeah. So.
So sacrilegiously, I am not a pie person. It is not my favorite.
Oh,
I
really?
like apple pie.
Oh.
It's fine. I'd rather a piece of chocolate cake over any of that. I like apple
I'm not
pie.
a pie person either. We
We
are
are
the
the
same
same.
person. This is an ongoing discovery in our friendship. More pie for you though, Aaron.
More
So
pie.
More pie for me
I'm
and
a grilled
Miles.
cheese
So.
girl. My friends know this has become a normal thing. So some of my friends, now that they have kids, breakfast is like the best time for us to get together, more so than like lunch or
Mhm.
dinner with nap times and whatever. But they know that breakfast is not my favorite meal of the day. So it will be like 8 a.m. at a diner, and I will ask for a cup of chicken noodle soup and grilled cheese with fries and an extra pickle. And they just know now. Like that is my go-to diner order. But I love that about diner culture. Like everyone has their
I'm a
go-to.
breakfast guy all the
My
time.
parents are
I do
too.
breakfast. Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
that's the one wonderful thing
but
about a diner. I think that's what works so well with this story is having that home base that since we're in Walt Disney World Resort, but since he's a local, you spend a lot of time there, but you have your places that are outside
hmm
of the parks and outside of property. And I like that a diner is such a good setting because lots of people go there. We see him meet lots of
hmm
friends and talk to clients there. So it's a location for
hmm
meeting. But it's also a location of comfort. He has his family there. So I like that this is a
hmm
location throughout all the stories that is consistent. And that's what kind of it brings the setting together across the stories.
well, I want to dive in a little deeper to two of the recurring characters. We have Daniel Dewey and Millie Mouser, who we already mentioned. Can you tell our listeners a little more about them and the role that they play in these mysteries?
Daniel has been his friend since they both ran around the parks together, unsupervised minors, which doesn't really happen. Or I don't, it might have happened in the past, but not so much anymore.
Yeah.
But they were unsupervised minors at the time, and they became best of friends, and they have been friends. And Daniel still makes his living. He's what I call a broker of information. He just gathers up information, inside stories, inside details, and parses them out to different people. I don't know if there's actually a person out there that does that, but Daniel does.
For me, I say Daniel's kind of that character that brings us into the present, I feel like. Because while Miles, he has the private eye skills and he kind of brings that classic detective feel. Daniel's kind of like our Q from he's like Q from what is it, James Bond.
He's the man in the
He's
chair.
man in the chair, but he also
Yes.
brings in, I think, a really modern aspect of park culture, which is the vloggers and
Yes.
information and putting things online and how people connect with the parks. And it's really funny to see like we have, even though they're friends and they've known each other since childhood, how they're both like encompassing two different aspects of people who enjoy the parks. More of a classic feel. I don't want the technology and the like all the extra stuff that comes with it now, and someone else who embraces it and uses it as part of their business.
And Millie is his longtime girlfriend. Maybe if Miles and her ever get together, I think that might be the end of the Miles Mitchell mystery someday, but we'll see.
Ooh.
But she helps him out with all kinds of cases. She plays a bigger role in the next book, actually.
Great.
But I really like my Millie, but she's a hard worker. She loves her diner and she loves her customers, and she's very shrewd. So
You gotta be that way, I think, with some
yeah,
people. Can't take any crap from them.
no.
She does step up in the Dapper Day story, the dress up case. We wanted to hone
Hmm.
in on that one in particular and go into a little more of your inspiration for that case.
Well, I know that Dapper Days is a huge thing. I have never participated in it. I'm just not a dress up type of guy. I'm very casual. But I really appreciate the people who put a lot of effort into it, and they're looking for something that accidentally got released into Dapper Days. I don't want to give away too much of the
No, of
mystery.
course.
And but her, Millie, and basically the whole crew of Miles's friends help him look for this thing that someone in Dapper Days has,
Yes.
that they accidentally got. It was a kind of accidental release to them. And so they're looking for the person who has these items.
I
So,
liked that we got more people involved, including Miles's mom, Mirabelle. Before
uh-huh.
Encanto, as you said in your email.
Yes.
What a
Yes.
small world. And
I was looking at that and I was going, well, wait a second, that's the same as my character who came out first. And I love Encanto. It's a great Disney story. But I created Maribel or one day short of a year before I released my story online.
wow.
One day short of a year
Yeah.
before Encanto got released to the theaters.
Hmm.
So I did not
It's
take
a
from
fun,
Disney.
unexpected connection,
Yes,
though.
yes, it
I
is.
like
So,
that because it is. I can
so
see why you went with that. Like, she's an older woman. Like, it would be a timely name for that.
So I liked in that story that we have a rival private eye. It's who can get to it first. Is that something that happens in the private eye world? That
not
okay.
really, no.
I enjoyed it. I was
There's
just
not
curious.
really a oh yeah, but I'm like Mark Twain. I said never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
It was
So
very much giving me the Great Muppet Caper. Not that Nikki Holiday is a rival private eye, but just like he had his girls, and so does this rival private eye, and so I just pictured Nikki Holiday from Great Muppet Caper.
Peter Pettigrew and his detective agency come back to play in volume two.
Ooh,
So you'll learn a little bit more about them. So
that was a fun one. This isn't in our questions, but I just thought it'd be fun for us to maybe share some of our others. Yes. So my favorite was story 3, which is the walk away case. And I'm not
mhm.
gonna give away the ending, but the way that that unfolded, all I'm gonna tease our listeners with is that a woman comes to Miles to investigate her husband's supposed infidelity on his frequent trips to Walt Disney World. And that one just made me smile at the end, the way that it
I'm glad.
turned out.
That is I'm glad it made you happy. So
Yay.
So the first case I liked. I thought you had a really good entry into his stories, the case of the missing heir, because he's hired to um, find a missing stepsister. Which one I was like, oh, Cinderella. We've got stepsisters here, evil stepsister, evil stepmother. But also they're like, she ran away to Disney World, and I was like, who hasn't thought about running away to Disney World? Um, so I thought that was just a fun entry, pulling people in, looking for a missing person. I thought was really intriguing. And yeah, quite a twist for how it turns out.
okay. Oh, good. I'm glad.
But I thought about it too. I was like, oh, who wants to run? I want to run away to Disney World. I would do that.
I wanted to touch also on the missing train case. You had alluded in our correspondence that there was some fun research tied to that and inspiration on your end. Could you share that with our listeners as well?
I was just watching YouTube videos, and they were talking about it's hard to not I don't want to give away
No,
too
I
much.
understand.
Yeah, in the story, because that's kind of the twist. But I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and they were talking about a train on Disney property and how that ties into the story. Uh, it's a story of a gentleman hiring, well, not actually hiring Miles. Miles just decides to help him out. And what happens is he wants to scatter his friend's ashes somewhere, But his friend's a longtime cast member, so his friend would never, ever interrupt park operations.
Of course.
And because he's a cast member, you just don't do that. So he wants to scatter his ashes, and he gives some hints, and Miles has to figure out where he wants him to scatter his ashes.
No, it was touching in that regard, and I'm sure fun for you to go down your own rabbit hole of some of those Disney history moments.
I actually went out there and looked around
Nice.
to decide where can we put this,
Where
So
does this?
Well, I was wondering
Yeah.
when we were looking at your book and you were telling us about it, like how you drop a lot of Disney history or like some of those like fun
Mhm.
facts. Do you have like a file? Do you have books with tabs in them? Like, what do you keep all things from that you just know?
No, it's all from my mind. Yeah. I a couple places that I go for, of course I go to the Disney A to Z by Dave Smith and
One of our
Steve
favorites.
Big
Virginia.
fans.
And yes, it's sitting on my desk. It's always within arm's reach, because if I think of something, and basically for names as well, because I want to look up names and make sure I'm not copying anybody's name or anything that I've heard in the past. I don't want to like say a real person in some of the stories.
Of course.
That's one of the places I get details, and I also get stuff from Justin Scard of Random Land.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
watched his videos. They're
Yeah.
fun.
And the biggest place I get a lot of stuff is from podcasts. I listen to Connecting with Walt podcast by Diz historian Michael Bowling. He is a fabulous wealth of information about all things Disney and Disney. He has interviews Imagineers and other people that have been deeply associated with Walt Disney and that knew Walt Disney. But I just love listening to his podcast. So, and of course, WDW Radio.
Yes, long time.
Long time
Long
listeners.
time
I
podcast.
hear these little bits and pieces, and it just stays in my head. And then when I go to create a story, I just double check it in a couple different places.
That's
So.
great.
So one last story I want to touch on was the faux surveillance case with Howard's adventure. I love that Howard got a
Okay.
one-page.
Howard gets a one-page.
But while reading this, I'm reminded a lot of several iterations of the World Showcase adventures that we had in Epcot, the Kim Possible, Agent P, DuckTales World adventures.
I love the DuckTales.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I was wondering, like, you have this imagination where we've created all these mysteries in Walt Disney World. If you had to revamp that attraction, what would you?
Which one?
Revamp the Around the World Showcase. Like, what would you?
Or
want
you can
people...
keep DuckTales, like whatever you want. It's
like,
your
how would
vision.
you? What would be your vision of like a mystery attraction around the park?
I'm a big fan of DuckTales. I love the newest version of DuckTales. What I would like to create is a log flume ride in Canada, DuckTales themed, called Adventures in Yukon.
I'm in.
And we need more rides in Epcot, in my
I would
opinion.
agree.
Just my opinion,
All views are our own and do not represent the Walt Disney Company. Covering both of us here.
But I would love to see a DuckTales themed ride in Epcot. Now, I think it'd be great in Canada. So
I haven't had a chance to play the new DuckTale one. Like
it's fun.
I've seen them pop up. I think it's because you have to do it on your own phone now. Like they used to give you the little devices for Kim Possible and Agent P. So I just need to remember my battery pack.
And the two biggest places that if you can't do them all, but if you can do any of them, do Germany and France.
Okay. I will keep that in mind.
That's my recommendation.
Awesome.
If you can't do them all, do Germany and France.
Okay.
I think a log flume ride would be so fun though. And what if it had like lots of mysteries in between? Like every time you ride it, if you pay attention to the scenes, maybe there's like three different mysteries going on at the same time.
Call me Disney. I'll help.
We're on it. Call me B. If you want to reach me.
Call me Disney. So.
Very fun. Well, we'd like to go a little more into your writing process as well as the publishing. Could you just describe kind of that for you? You know, like how often are you writing, and then what was the process of getting your works published?
I try and write, every day.
That's wonderful.
At least something, or create something every day. I have recently started to do a 4-panel comic strip with my artist Graham Kennedy. I'll send you a copy after this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And it's just in the beginning stages. It's kind of a backstage look at cast members' attitudes towards things. But I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna deal with that. But the book is actually published by Dorrance Publishing. It's a self-publishing. I actually had to pay to get it published.
Okay.
And it's a very, I'll tell you, anybody that wants to publish, and this is, I've done quite a bit of research in publishers. It takes a long time. It's not
Yeah.
as quick and swift as most people I would like. I am fairly satisfied with the book, the way it came out. There's a few things that, I'm not crazy about, but they didn't do any editing of stories. They did
Okay.
proof editing or copy editing, grammar and spelling and such like that. But it came out good, and they set the price. I didn't set the price, but it took about 9 months or so to get it published.
Oh wow. No, this is really
that way.
interesting.
And they were good to work with. I would really love to get I do not have a literary agent, so
Right.
but I would love to get a literary agent and talk to, I hate to use the term real publisher because it's a real book.
Right. No, it has an ISBN. Like you're registered
Yeah.
for the
Oh
Library
no,
of
it's
Congress.
Library of
It's on
Congress and all that.
Goodreads. If it's
Yeah.
on Goodreads, it counts.
Yeah, but I would, a publisher, a traditional publisher, is also trying to promote the book, and as it is now, I have to do all the promotional and send it out to great and wonderful people like you.
Well, thank you.
And so I have to do all the legwork. I'd rather just prefer to just
do it.
I'd rather just pay somebody a percentage, and they'd be as invested in it as I am in promoting the book.
Yeah, no, that's
But,
really interesting to hear. I think we've had a few other self-publishers along the way, and I think that's important for, I'm sure, a lot of our listeners are also readers and writers to know those sides of things and considerations.
Yeah. So, but all my other books are self-published. They're only in ebook format on smashwords.com, which is, I've been working with them for years, and I set the price on those.
Okay.
And also on audiobooks, or there's I can't remember the name of the company that does they send it out to all the different audio distributors.
Okay, so like
the Miles Mitchell is in audible format.
Oh, great.
And I set the price on that as well. But then other like audiobooks adds a value, whatever value they to get out of it. So
did they handle the recording, or did you have someone
I did all the recording. It's my voice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Can,
well, you have a great voice. So
if you can stand to listen to this podcast, then you might be able to listen to these.
What was it like transitioning, going from writing your stories to then reading them aloud? Like, was there?
It's another edit. You find out things that don't work and do work. It's another edit. You get a chance to take a swing at it again. It is very time consuming because I'm my own engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told and that's kind of like this. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. For every hour of audiobook, it takes 3 hours to create it, which I would say is about right. Sometimes when you're first starting out, maybe a 4-to-1, 4 hours to 1 hour of content. I actually did a Miles Mitchell Christmas play that's on my website.
Cool.
And all the parts were played by friends and relatives. And it's Miles Mitchell actually meets Santa Claus.
Aww.
So it's not in canon, but it's a fun thing for me and my family. And the funnest, the best thing was the blooper reel at the end.
Oh, nice. No, you gotta have that. I don't do it for us, but I do enjoy. I'm like, that's another thing to edit. But I'm glad that you included that. I'm sure people really enjoy it.
My family's a bunch of actors and performers. I'm the writer. I'm the writer, and they're the actors and performers and singers, and they really enjoyed doing that. So
Oh, that's so great how Miles as a character has really transformed into a family experience, a writing experience, an audible
mhm.
experience. Miles is everywhere.
That's what I'm trying for. I hope everybody can enjoy them.
We did, and it's certainly a labor of love that I think shows. And you've teased for our listeners that there's more to come with
Mhm.
2 out and others on the way. Are there a few little previews you can give of maybe fun settings, situations that you want to leave them with?
In number 2, Miles has to deal with a murder off
Ooh,
Disney property.
I'm intrigued.
He has to deal with clearing the name of a former Mouseketeer.
Oh,
In the 3rd volume, he has a run-in with the him and Daniel Dewey have a run-in with the Dixie Mafia. And also in the 3rd volume, there's a story that will come out. It's on my website, um, of how him and Millie met.
oh, fun.
So yeah, but I am really enjoying writing about Miles. Miles is a fun guy, a really nice guy too, I think.
It absolutely comes through. I just want you to know that.
Okay, good.
I have
Good.
one more question about the structure of your book. So what's interesting about short stories, how do you decide what order you want to put these mysteries in? Like you said, there's one on your website that you're going to include in book 3. How do you decide where it goes? It reminds me almost like putting a CD together. How do you put together an album?
Right now, they're all in the order, almost all of them. I think maybe one in the first thing, I just kind of mixed up the order. I really didn't have an order in the first one. I just said, I'm going to write 8 shorts. Once I had 2 or 3, I said, this could make a full book. If I,
Yeah.
and I figured out 8 would be a good length of stories. And then in the second book, volume 2, I decided, well, I want to give the readers some more. So I made it 10. And I think that's going to be the length of all the Miles Mitchell stories is 10 short stories in a book. Now those came out, those are all in the order that I wrote them
Okay.
in
wow.
volume 2. Volume 3 is going to be a little bit different. I wrote the first story, and then the second story is kind of a follow-up to the first story, but when I get that book together, all 10, I'm definitely going to separate those 2.
Okay.
Just because I don't want it to seem like, one happened right after the other. I want them to give a little bit more distance between them. So, although the first 2 stories I've written and the 3rd I'm working on right now, they don't take place in the park.
Ooh.
They all take place outside the park. I mean, they got a little bit of Disney activity, but so the next 7 or so, or whatever it takes to fill up the next book, I think I'm going to try and go back to the parks because I haven't been in the parks in a bit. So
Okay. That makes sense.
that's kind of my goal in the other stories that take place there.
I feel like that's part of the appeal. So you have like
Yeah,
a little off property, but reel them back in.
yeah, exactly. The 3rd story is going to be a lot about inside baseball in Florida.
Okay.
Because baseball is a huge thing down here in
especially with
Florida.
spring training.
Spring training and stuff. And I have a good friend I grew up with, Greg Egger. I've known him since kindergarten. He played ball for one of the Ivy Leagues, and his nephews are currently being recruited to play for the pros. And he gave me a lot of inside information on baseball and how it works to go through the draft or college ball and such like that. So
Cool.
I'm kind of trying to incorporate some of that in.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the Central Florida Tourism Corridor. Is all
Exactly.
within your realm
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of miss having the Braves here in
Agreed.
spring training at ESPN, which I worked at as well. The last season, the Braves were here in spring training at ESPN. I was on the security team for that, which was really fun.
Wow,
So,
that's really cool. Well, that's fun. I'm glad that Miles has a lot of more things coming. You said maybe we'll see more happen between, will him and Millie get together? Will they have another adventure? I'm waiting.
Oh, they have a few adventures in the next, at least one. Yeah, one for sure. They actually try and go away.
I'm waiting on their Disney fairy tale wedding for them.
Oh, that's
That's probably out of his price range.
They go undercover, posing as a couple to get the inside scoop.
I do have something set up where they're kind of undercover.
Okay.
I haven't written this yet, but it's kind of an idea in the back of my head. They're going to go to the Star Cruiser. Of course, before it closed.
Yes.
Which I'm very familiar with the Star Cruiser and how it operated. So
that sounds really cool. And I think that'd be a great glimpse, since unfortunately not many people did. And
no, they didn't. It was I'm sad that it was closed, but I was so happy to be part of that team.
No, that's got to be one of those like once in a lifetime Disney type experiences. So that's wonderful that gets to shape and inform these stories.
But Miles will have visited the Star Cruiser.
Very cool.
On somebody else's dime, because Miles can't afford it.
Is Miles a Jedi or is he a Sith?
Miles is a smuggler. So.
Of course. We should have known.
Miles is a smuggler.
That's true. We should have seen that coming. He's a Han Solo.
Han Solo, yeah.
As a listener to our show, we have questions we love to ask our authors to wrap up our discussions. You've done what very few people have, which is write a story and publish it and get it out there for readers. So what advice do you have for aspiring writers?
It is much harder than most people know. I have people come up to me all the time. Oh, I'd like to write a story. Oh, I'd like to write a story. Just do it. You have to, if it's a priority to you, you have to get it done. I love quotes. On my website, aaforringer.com, every Tuesday and Thursday, I have a little quote from somebody, usually a famous person. And then I give a little history for that person. So, you go, who said that? And I go, well, this person said that, and this is what they did with their life.
But we also have to ask, what is your favorite Disney book? Because we always want to grow our show.
The one that I reference a lot, or I think about a lot, and this actually comes to play in Disney traditions, because we talk about the history of the company, is Disney Wars by James B. Stewart.
That's absolutely allowed. It is a fascinating. We haven't tackled it, but
yes,
maybe one day.
It's a heavy tome. So
not while I'm in grad school. That one. I was like, I like the close to 100 pages of the Miles Mitchell mysteries, but
yeah.
What do you like about Disney War?
What do I like about it? I like that the place tells about the complications that most people never think about. The thing that always gets me is how at one point Disney was as a chance of going under and being sold off. That to me just shocks me that it could have gone away and not been what we think of it today. It could have been separated. The studios could have been its own thing. Parks could have been its own thing. It just boggles my mind that this huge juggernaut could have been looked at so differently in the world. So
awesome. Well, we will take that recommendation to heart. You're not the first to say it, nor shall you be the last. I am quite sure. We are, of course, always growing our shelves, but our next episode will be a little different because it is our 100th episode. So
congratulations. Hey. You guys are so tenacious, and I just love listening to you.
Thank you. Well, we want our listeners to stay tuned for a very special episode in March. Much like your wishes, Aaron, if our listeners have any well wishes that they'd like to be included in the episode, please feel free to connect with us at bookofthemouseclub@gmail.com or Book of the Mouse Club on Instagram. Reach out to let us know how you'd like to do that. You can send it over a message or an audio recording, whatever you'd like. We'd love to celebrate you, our listeners, as well as when we celebrate our legacy of our podcast thus far. If you can send those in by March 1st, 2024, that would be great. And stay tuned for the episode in mid-March. Please be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen so others may find our podcast and read and listen along with us. You can keep up with me, Courtney, on Instagram at Great Gutsby.
And you can follow me, Emily, on Instagram at Emily_McD. And Aaron, where can listeners keep up with you, and where is the best place to buy your book?
The best place to buy my book is at Dorrance Publishing. That is the primary place to get it, but they can also, if they do a search on Amazon.com, they can find the Miles Mitchell mysteries there. And the audiobooks are at several audiobook locations. Just type in Miles Mitchell and see if your local audiobook place has it. But the best place to follow my stuff is at aaforringer.com. That's aaforringer.com. That is my main hub, and I'm also on Instagram at aaforringer.
Perfect. We will be sure to include all of those in our show notes so that it's easy for our listeners to get there and connect with you or find your books. As a listener of the show yourself, though, you know the drill now. You are a guest of honor. So what quote have you chosen for us today?
It's from John Steinbeck.
Ooh.
It's about having ideas. And he said, ideas are like rabbits. Once you get a couple and learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you have a dozen. Which,
just like all your stories and all of our episodes here. So what a great choice. And Aaron, thank you again so much for joining us today, for sharing your stories with us. And we hope our listeners enjoy them too.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
We'll see you for episode 100.
The Mouse Club has no affiliation with the Walt Disney Company. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and participants are theirs and theirs alone. They do not represent the organizations or companies they happen to work for.